Hello TV family, welcome back to Ted and Vero TV. My name is Ted and this is my incredible wife.
Hello, I'm Veronica.
Today we are going to be discussing how I got my incredible wife.
That's me.
That's you, and there is no other. Okay, so anyone who's been sticking with us has probably already seen my wife's take on how she got this man that you see before you, her husband, and this is my side of the story, how I got my wife. So a lot of what I want to talk about actually has to do with inner game. First of all, I think that when people decide that they want something, they actually tend to over-obsess and over-focus on that thing. And I'm completely guilty of that. I spent so much of my time over-obsessing and over-focusing on the things that I wanted. For example, if you think too hard about making the shot when you're on the basketball court, you're going to miss. You have to get into this place where you're skilled, you've done your homework, you've done the routines, you've practiced, you have the confidence, your inner game is up, and your team understands each other. And when you jump and shoot, you just know the ball is going to go in. You're not sitting there with your mind thinking about a geometry problem in the arc and, you know, the exact amount of force that you need to put in to get the ball to the hoop in the first place, and all these technical details. You're gonna foul yourself up because you're overthinking it. So that's an analogy to anything in life, and in particular into finding that special someone for you. Most of my life, again, I was overthinking everything. So if I had my eyes set on someone I was interested in, I would be too focused on her. Rather spin that around and actually look at yourself and say, I need to make myself a magnet so that she is automatically drawn to me. It's not about me focusing on her, because you're gonna come off awkward. You're gonna come off creepy, possibly. You're not going to be yourself.
Overbearing.
You're going to be overbearing. You're going to be trying all these things, and you're going to be pulling your hair out because probably these things aren't going to be working. So how to make yourself a magnet? My first advice is to discover who your authentic self even actually is.
Amen.
Your authentic self can be hidden from you. When you are raised as a child, you're so influenced by your parents. You're so influenced by your friends group at school and social pressures and peer pressures and all these things that you see on the television that kind of influence your thinking. And you're just honestly kind of this stew of ideas and thoughts and feelings, and you don't yet know even who you are. And you don't necessarily even have the maturity to figure out how to discover who you are. But if you're equipped with the tools to know in advance, you are more apt to be able to find the answer to that question. My parents, for instance, were like a lot of parents. They did a fantastic job, but in a lot of ways, they were kind of just figuring it out as they went along. And that's true, I would say, of most parents.
Yes.
And none of us is going to have all the answers at any point, no matter how self-aware we become. Nevertheless, if I had had an example and I had had someone to tell me these kinds of things, I could have been well ahead of the game.
Yes.
But I had to figure this stuff out all on my own, and it took time. It took big mistakes. It took a lot of pain. And it took a surrender to the Lord at the end of the day, because when I came to the end of myself, having made all these mistakes, I realized that whatever it was that I was missing, whatever it was I was lacking, it was not within my power to figure it out. So I had to empty myself, surrender myself to the Lord, and allow for Him to work on me to open my eyes to see who I actually am, what that really means, and how to cultivate that and to grow that without any outside noise or influence disrupting the purity of what that needed to be.
And that takes a lot of process, you know.
Yeah, very. We're talking years, decades.
Yes, it doesn't just come overnight, you know, because we all grew up in different homes and we were all raised differently, different ideologies, you know. we were like, for instance, I never really had anyone literally tell me, wow, you are beautiful. Every
I
chance,
cannot believe that.
the people I was surrounded by then, every chance they got was to tear me down. And so I grew up feeling like I wasn't enough. I wasn't like, I wasn't worth it. Literally, it affected me so much, you know. So everything that is saying makes so much sense. But eventually, you know, you grow up and you learn that, hey, I'm actually beautiful. I'm actually enough. And I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And that is amazing to get to that point. So it's a process.
So that opens up the next point that I wanted to make, actually. And that is that you are going to want to have one ear open to the advice of others, because God does use other people in our lives to instruct us, to kind of help us get to where we're supposed to go. And as a body, that's how it ought to be. But at the same time, because you don't necessarily know if the person is going to have your best interest, or if even this person has the right advice, even if they have good intentions, you always want to have one ear to advice or wisdom, but the other ear to your own heart. Because if you listen to what somebody else has to say to you to the exclusion of what your gut is telling you, you're almost always going to be led into a place that you're going to stumble and fall flat on your face in that case as well. So keep one ear on your heart and one ear on all the noise and all the voices that are chattering in your ear. Because believe it or not, a lot of people are obsessed with trying to control you. They're obsessed with trying to control everyone around them and everything around them. And I think a lot of people don't even realize what they're doing. But again, that's also in line with what we're talking about, is self-awareness. And when you become self-aware and you come to realize who your authentic self is and you make peace with that, that's when scales fall from your eyes. In a lot of ways, you begin to see with clarity. And not only do you now know who you are, but by knowing that, you begin to know who everybody around you is too. You start to see, okay, I see why that person has been this way my whole life. I see why they keep telling me this kind of a thing or that kind of a thing. It all makes sense. Whereas before it just was so confusing and frustrating. But now I'm starting to see. So you want to get clarity about all of those things. And now you're ready to start magnetizing yourself. Once you begin to see these things, now you can magnetize yourself. So start to cultivate what you now have learned about yourself, who you really are. What is it that you love to do? What are your dreams? What are you after? What's most important to you? Try to cultivate your strongest self. Try to cultivate your spiritual self, your physical self, your mental self, all aspects of yourself. Up the game. In my case, I've always wanted to be a writer. So one of the things I did after one of my previous relationships finally came to an end, and I was devastated and kind of crashed out, didn't know which way was up and all that. One of the things that really got me straightened and lined up again was coming back to writing. I dove into a novel and I absolutely got lost in this project, and it was literally a cathartic experience. And I know for a fact that God used the instrument of writing and the gift of writing to heal me.
Amen.
Writing is cathartic. It digs so deep into who we are. And that whole experience was bringing me out into a place where I was going to be a stronger, better me. So that's just one example of what I did. And in the meantime, I'm also pressing into the Lord. I'm pressing into God. I'm asking him, Lord, you know, instruct me, guide my path, teach me which way I'm supposed to go. And so then I came into a place where I was finally ready to actually start looking for that person that I was supposed to be with. I'd been in multiple relationships that I would have to say are mistakes, although we learn from everything as we go. And so in that sense, it wasn't a mistake. I don't have anything against any of those people, and I wish them the very best. But as it turns out, it was obvious that none of those people were right for me. But who out there was right for me? Well, I was ready to find that out. So the first thing I did, being true to my authentic self, I knew I wanted to be in an interracial relationship. And so I got onto a specific interracial dating website.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our video on how we met yet, go check it out. Inserted right up here.
Yep. And then I created my profile. Create a good profile if you're going to do online dating. In my profile, I was very specific about who I was looking for, her qualities. I knew that I was looking for a good Christian woman, someone who was devoted to the Lord. And I put that in plain English. That's who I'm looking for. That's who I am, at least in a journey's sense. I'm not perfected, but my heart is to follow the Lord and to find someone to follow the Lord with, equally yoked in that kind of a relationship. And lo and behold, it wasn't long before this incredible woman sent me a message, IM'd me on the interracial dating website, and one thing led to another. I have to admit, I was even a little bit hesitant at that point too, because of distance issues, and I even got—
And because of the past mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I even was a teeny bit gun shy because of my past mistakes. And I didn't want to do it again, obviously. You know, your mind, the past.
Yeah.
The past, my goodness. That's another key point actually about all this, is don't worry so much about the past. Let the past teach you, but don't look back at the past unless you're allowing it to teach you, or unless you're trying to mark your own progress to continue to inspire you to keep going further. So after I got over all of those hitches, I ended up sending her a message back. And here we are today.
Happily married.
Happily married.
Building a family together.
Building a family together.
And serving the Lord together.
And serving the Lord together. I will also say too, though, that the confidence that you get once you have gone through that journey that I just described to you, you do build a sense of, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas before, maybe let's say I would have met my wife on this website if I hadn't been ready. If I hadn't gone through all that training, then I probably wouldn't have been able to present my best self to my wife, to be that magnetic personality that I was talking about, to draw her to me. You want to be a magnetic force so that when that person that you're interested in is around you, she has no alternative but to be drawn to you, to be sucked into your world, to be absolutely overcome with the mystery of who you are, the adventure of the promise of the two of you together, and just the intrigue that she should feel when she looks at you and thinks about you and is like, there's something different about that guy. That guy is so confident in his own skin. That guy has got something figured out. That guy is deeper than pretty much anyone else I'm gonna meet on the street, not because those people can't also be deep, but again, they haven't gone through these traces to be built up, to examine themselves, to become their most authentic, strongest self, to be that force of nature in a manner of speaking, so that their best life is drawn to them. Their wife is drawn to them, and other things too. Opportunities. Doors start opening up because now all of a sudden you're tapped into that sweet spot. When you're playing baseball and you're up to bat, there is a perfect sweet spot on that bat. You can hit the ball in a lot of different places on the bat, but there's a perfect sweet spot right at that point where when you swing that bat, that ball is going to go farthest, and it's going to be a home run because you hit that sweet spot. So
it all starts with you working on yourself and actually being ready before anyone else, comes to you. Because people will get attracted to you, and it's also on the subject of being equally yoked. When you are equally yoked with somebody because you've been working on your best self, not you're not being anyone else. You're not hiding who you are. The right person will connect with you. So always present yourself in the manner in which you are exactly. Don't try and be anyone else, because if you are anyone else and you get into a relationship with somebody and you end up, let's say, get married, you might eventually end up breaking up, because you portrayed yourself to be someone that you actually are not.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
And you probably were getting into a relationship with someone that you don't belong with because you thought that you wanted to be with this person, even though that's not who you really are.
So you go both ways. Woman, be yourself. Man, be yourself. And then you eventually will have a great and glorious marriage. So
to summarize all of this, I would say how I got my wife, I first had to get myself.
Amen. That's a good way to say it. You do good, Ted.
Thank you very much, everybody. We love having you with us twice a week. Every week. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share our videos with your family and friends. And we will see you next time.
See you next time, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.